I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Live. Here we come, everybody. Justin, as usual, we'll start on camera 4, and then I'll go to camera 2. And remember your toss.
Yeah, I'm gonna try my best.
Before we go to the real estate.
Yeah, I already had a little talk with myself about that.
All right, brother, let's do this. Here we come.
I don't know if I remember.
3, 2.
Welcome to You Have Real Estate with me, attorney Justin Clark. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, seasoned investor, or looking to sell your home, this next 30 minutes is designed for you. Think of it like hitting multiple open houses, all from your living room, with my attorney advice throughout the show. If you have any questions whatsoever, the phone number, and I have people standing by right now to answer your questions, is 407 205-0400. There's plenty of information on the website as well, which is youhavepower.com. If you're starting your house search, the first thing you need to do is get a pre-approval letter. I have a mortgage professional standing by as well who can get you pre-approved if you qualify today. Again, the phone number, 407-205-0400. We have awesome properties to show you today, but before we go there, it is time for my opening statement. Many of you have asked me out on the street, Justin, what is the fastest but safest way to buy my next home? And it really is 4 steps, all right? Number 1, you have to decide you're ready to buy. A lot of us have gone through a foreclosure or a bankruptcy back during that epic collapse we had in 2008, 9, 10, 11, and we just say, you know what, I'm going to rent. I'm afraid to check my credit. I'm just going to rent forever. This is bad planning for you because the rental market is terrible for renters. It's bad. The rental market is great if you're a landlord, but if you're a renter and looking to put shelter over your family's head, the rental market is out of control. It is always less expensive monthly to buy a property and pay a mortgage as opposed to renting. So you got to decide that you're ready to buy, and buying is definitely the way to go right now. Number 2, what do we need to do? You need to sit down and do a budget. So in my law firm, I'm dealing with people all the time who come in and they don't know how much money's coming in per month. They don't know how much money is going out per month. We need to sit down and really look at some bank statements over the last few months, see how much money comes in, what we get paid, and then see how much money is going out. And that way we can figure out what we can afford for a mortgage payment. And then at that point is when we go get that pre-approval letter. That's when you call 407-205-0400. My buddy Dallas Lehman is sitting by the phone right now to get you pre-approved. But when you talk to him, we got to figure out what we can afford, right? Can I afford a $300,000 house? Is it $200,000? Is it $400,000? That is what the budget is going to dictate what we can afford when we go out on this house search. Number 3, I think we need to research online first a little bit. What I'm hearing from most of the agents that I talk to is most people, when they go out on that house hunt, pretty much have in their mind already which house they've already fallen in love with. Back in the day, the realtor would say, they fell in love as soon as they walked in. Now, because the pictures are so good, the technology is so good, we're falling in love virtually with these houses before we ever go there. So do a lot of research online because it's going to save you time. It's going to save your agent time from driving around to 1,000 different houses because we're going to be able to narrow it down technologically and virtually before we ever have to go out on the street. So do a lot of research online first. Next, what do we need to do? We need to hire an agent. Why should you hire an agent? First of all, it's free. You're the buyer. You don't have to pay the commission at all. The seller is paying the commission. So hire an agent that you trust, maybe someone who knows the area well, and who's going to take you around and show you properties and tell you sort of the benefits and are the schools good? Is this a good deal? Have an agent on your side representing you, and it costs you $0 to hire this agent. So I always recommend having a real estate agent when you go on that house hunt. Next, once you find a house, you make an offer. Don't let anyone ever tell you that you shouldn't do an inspection. You must, right? So when you make an offer on this house, you have to do an inspection to make sure that there are no major issues with this home. And lastly, Let's say that you offer $300,000. You do the inspection. Something comes in. The roof is too old. There are issues with the AC unit. Do not be afraid to tell your agent to continue negotiating to repair these problems. Just because you offer $300,000, if there are issues with the house, you can keep negotiating. You need to have these issues repaired. And as part of this too, you're going to have to get an appraisal to get the mortgage. And if you've offered $300,000, the appraisal comes in at $280,000. You need to continue negotiating as well, because you're not going to be able to get mortgage and financing for the entire amount. So don't be afraid just because you said $300,000, just because the contract says $300,000. If the appraisal comes in lower than that, or if there's an issue with the inspection, do not be afraid to continue negotiating with the seller. And now you own a house, you're a homeowner, you got a great deal. The rates are great out there. Your payment's going to be pretty good. Any questions at all? 407-205-0400. We look forward to talking to you very soon. I have people standing by right now to answer your questions. And now we're going to take some tours of some awesome properties. But first, it's time for Real Questions. Every Saturday right here on You Have Real Estate, I ask real questions to the really trend-setting people in the Central Florida real estate market. Today, I have two awesome guests. Vivian Lehman joins us from You Have Realty, and Rose Kemp joins me from RE/MAX Town Center. Ladies, how we doing?
Very well.
It's good to
Very
see you. Vivian, let me start with you here for a minute, because I was talking earlier about the inspection and that sort of thing, but also, what about this final walkthrough? So if I'm buying a if I'm buying a house, right, a condo, whatever I'm buying, a lot of times you have the closing, and then I hear about this final walkthrough. Is this something I need to do?
I think it is important, because what you want to maintain with your buyer as you're going through the house is that everything that you agreed to in the contract stayed that way. So if they agreed to leave the washer and dryer, you want to make sure it's there. If they agreed to leave fixtures, I've gone into a house where the light's gone right before walkthrough, and I was like, what happened? This is not what we agreed to. So yeah, it's very important.
Okay. What do you think, Rose? Final walkthrough, should I do it?
Absolutely. I'll give you an example. One of the reasons that I know final walkthrough is a must, and for me, I like to do it with my clients the day of the closing. Once upon a time, sold an older home, had been a storm the night before the closing. We went to the walkthrough in the morning. The room in the back had caved because the tree had fell on top of the house.
Oh my God.
Needless to say, it fell through. We had to cancel.
Wow.
But can you imagine not having that walkthrough, and they close and they get there excited, and we have a disaster?
Is this final walkthrough typically done before closing or after closing?
Before.
Prior.
Okay. So
Once
but
you
the
sign.
day of typically, or?
The day of
All
is
right.
what I like to do, and I like to do it prior, because anything can happen between the moment you last seen the house to the moment that you close.
What are some issues that you've seen, Vivian, before when you've done a final walkthrough and you're like, the seller said one thing, whether it's appliances or whatever. Have you ever seen a real issue pop up during this final walkthrough?
Oh, absolutely.
What are some of the issues?
Like I said, window treatments were gone. And in the contract, it said everything was going to stay, So you have to go back at that time. I actually had to have the seller ship those drapes back to the buyer because she refused to close until that happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the seller, did they just play dumb, or they were really trying to
Oh, yeah,
play
play
one
dumb.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Well, and also the contract that we use has a section that is built in that lets the buyer and the seller know what they're agreeing to leave at the property. Anything outside of scope or that needs to be taken out, there's a section to fill that in. So, for instance, I went to a walkthrough and the refrigerator was gone. And the seller said, well, we didn't agree to leave the refrigerator. And I said, well, it's built into the contract and we did not exclude it. And she was,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I thought you guys had to write it in.
What is typical with appliances, Rose? So, I mean, to me, I assume that the refrigerator, washer, dryer, all that stuff is going to stay in the house. But what is typical?
Washer and dryer are actually considered personal property. Typical is things that are customized in the kitchen, and also your range, and then the dishwasher is set in. The microwave is typically set in. hot water heater.
What?
Yeah.
It should stay. What else? Fixtures that are screwed into the walls, they
Anything
should stay.
attached to the
Yeah.
property should stay.
So, do you guys ever see a fight, Vivian Lehman, a fight between buyer and seller in regards to something so like minor, like a dishwasher? I mean, do people really fight over these things?
I think if it's agreed to in the contract and it shows up at the end that it's not there, yeah, there's going to be a fight. And
Really?
and if it is a fight, then of course it's a monetary exchange. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I took it. I'll give you $350. Whatever the case is.
Unbelievable. All right, Rose Kemp, Remax Town Center. I call it Thornton Park. You call it downtown Orlando. That's okay. They're very close
okay.
together there. Earlier, I talked a little bit about the technological advancement we have in MLS listings and, pictures, virtual tours, that sort of thing. I mean, we've come a long way. Drones, I mean, you can really see a lot about a home these days, way more than you could in the past, right? Do you find when you're working with buyers, when you first meet with them, have they done a lot of research and have they already kind of fallen in love before you even start working with them?
Absolutely. Especially, I think, some of our millennial buyers, which we have quite a few right now.
Take it easy.
Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, a lot of the research is now done online. And by the time I sit down and meet with them, of course, they're already like 10 steps ahead. I like this house and this house. And I'm pretty certain this one's going to be the one.
Yeah.
And then you walk through, and of course, you get a different vibe sometimes. Sometimes pictures might make a room look bigger and whatnot. But yes, people do come with a preconceived idea of what they have fallen in love with, and I don't blame them. The other thing that I find myself doing these days is because they are coming to me with a list, I like to go ahead and just, if they're that in love with it on paper, before we go preview it, I also like to pull the seller's disclosures, which are typically attached to the MLS. The realtors can go ahead and pull
Right.
that. And that way, before you even go to the property, aside from seeing pictures and whatnot, you can actually look at the condition and see how old the roof is and just certain criteria that might be a factor that's important to the buyer.
Vivian Lehman, do you find that some of the pictures, drone footage, virtual tours can be deceiving?
I believe they can, but at the same time, I like the drone footage because you can see more of the neighborhood. That's what you don't see when you just have pictures on the MLS.
In the real estate world, I watch a lot of House Hunters International, right? So in the real estate world, are we really only allowed to see 3 properties and we have to choose one? Is that how it works?
That would be really nice.
I don't think that's how it works, right? Because on House Hunters, literally we see 3 houses and we have to choose one, but I don't think it works like that in the real world, Vivian, right? What is sort of typical for a buyer that you work with? How many houses are we actually going to physically go tour or preview before we choose one? What's typical?
I would say a first-time home buyer takes a little bit more just because they're still learning the process also. So what I try to do with them is I'll just say, please stick to an area. I know you've been online, but you really don't know that that's on the east side and the other one's on the west side. So let's pick an area. Maybe I'll do 4 or 5 houses in one day and then 4 or 5 houses in another area the next day. What'll happen then at that point is you really have to manage their expectations too, and you're kind of like, okay, this was your list of what you wanted. Okay, now tell me what you didn't like about this house. So then I start to learn their likes and dislikes, and I can head them towards the right house.
And it's something, they're your clients, and you love them, and you get close with them. I mean, you're driving around every Saturday with them for a few weeks, but at what point can it get a little bit annoying? I'm not trying to talk bad about your clients, of course, but at what point is like, wow, this is like too many houses that we've seen? Is there a way to really to gauge, like, look, this is too much?
Yes, so that's educating them.
Okay.
When you educate them, you can really kind of narrow it down. And granted, if they're in a price point where there are 15 homes available, at that point, let's have a strategy so that you don't get overwhelmed and so that you don't waste a bunch of time, because I know all of our times are limited. And when you do that, you'll find yourself really narrowing it down for them. So you educate them.
That brings me to a good point as well. But so now everyone is saying, oh, it's a seller's market, maybe lightening up a little bit. But I'm also hearing that it might be a seller's market in one price point and a buyer's market in another price point. Explain that to me.
Well, obviously, in the higher price points, you're going to see more inventory. Anything below 400,000, I want to say, your pool of buyers is going to be huge. And of course, the lower the spectrum, the bigger the pool of buyers. We have so many first-time home buyers, and of course, we have a lot of investors always looking for the good deal. So yeah, I would say anything under 400,000 is one market, and then there's a whole nother market once you get above that. The other thing that I find in Central Florida is that areas vary as well. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was out and about, and I noticed just such a huge difference between, for instance, showing a home in St. Cloud versus showing a home in the Hunters Creek area. The dollar per square foot is different. Closer you get into downtown, obviously values go up as well. Is it a hot spot like Lake Nona? There's so much growth. Of course, the seller can ask a little bit more there. So it just depends which area you're in. You know, it's kind of like the weather, bipolar. We're all over the place.
Hey, Vivian, we talked about this a little bit in the opening statement. We were talking about the appraisal, right? So let's say I'm the buyer. I offer $300,000 on a house. We're heading towards closing, and I'm getting a mortgage. And as part of getting a mortgage, I have to get an appraisal, of course. And the appraisal comes in and it says $270,000. What do I do at that point?
Well, I think at that point, that's where the professionals, the two agents, really need to talk it out, because you've got to be able to convince the other agent, the seller's agent, you're going to have this problem with anybody that comes in and makes an offer. And especially if it's an FHA deal, that amount stays with the property. It's always going to be there.
Right.
So at 3 months, I think it is 90 days or something like that. So yeah, I think at that point it is a negotiation. I think you are going to be able to get it down. Sometimes even the buyer might come up an extra 10,000.
Right.
You know, somewhere to meet in the middle, because at the same time the buyer doesn't want to overpay for the house. So
Sure. And same thing with the inspection. So I get an inspection prior to closing, of course, and then it shows that the roof needs to be replaced. I mean, how does that negotiation go?
when I talk with a buyer about the inspection, I say, we usually come in with an as-is contract because we want to be competitive. So I'll say, we're looking for the big ticket items. If it's a, keyhole that doesn't work, that's not what we're looking for.
Right.
That's an easy fix. I said, but if it's something big, then at that point, yes, we can go back to the seller and negotiate.
Do you find sellers are typically receptive to that, or they fight back? How does that
I
negotiation
think they are
typically play out?
receptive because I think in this market, everybody understands, yes, it is a negotiation, unless there's 3 offers on the deal, and you're the one that won it, you're probably going to have to bite it at that point.
If you have any questions whatsoever about anything we've talked about today, I want you to give us a call. I have people standing by to answer your questions right now, or most importantly, get you pre-approved to start your house hunt today. The phone number, 407-205-0400. Speaking of house hunt, we know the first thing you have to do, Rose Kemp, is to get pre-approved. We got to get pre-approved to get a mortgage, or no one's going to want to show us their listings because we're not even approved yet, right?
Correct.
One of the things that I've seen recently that makes me a little bit nervous for someone who is pre-approved, as they go through the house hunting process, they might buy a car, make other big purchases, and that can really mess up our ability to get financing, can it not? Have you ever seen that happen?
I did, actually. I had a personal experience a few years ago. I had a purchaser in the $500,000-$600,000 range. At the same time, family was growing, and as we were looking at homes, I noticed a brochure for a brand new vehicle, and I said, we really need to put this on pause. Please do not do anything. Well, my credit is this, it's stellar. I'm putting a large down payment. I said, I'm asking you to please put that on hold. And he actually proceeded to purchase without letting me know. And so what ended up happening is it cost him a year. So it cost him the money he had already invested in inspections, appraisal, and he actually did not qualify. It brought down his credit score, and it was a lease, and he literally got declined at that point, and it pushed us back 1 year.
If you're looking at buying a home, do not go out and make any big purchases until after that deal close. Look, it might work out for you, but I've seen too many times where it's happened where that person was about to close on their home and then they did not qualify for the mortgage anymore once they bought that new car, or even, racked up some credit card bills and things like that. Be very careful during that 30 or 45-day window. Don't make any big purchases at all. Ladies, are you ready to take some tours of some properties? Because I know I am. Are you ready to go? All right, Vivian Lehman, let me start with you here. Let's go up to Osprey Hammock Trail. Vivian, where's this property?
So this is actually a lot right now. This is
Oh, it's a lot?
It's a lot. It's to be built. It's about half an acre. It's in a gated community called Wekiva Park. The community itself has tennis courts, a playground. This model specifically is about 3,900 square feet. It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath, and they're asking $890,000.
Wow. So we're actually going to build this house.
Yes.
So I mean that's really a good way to purchase a home, I think, because you can really make it to exactly how you like, right? I mean, it's not like you'd have to choose this one model and everything's standard. You can really help with the design.
Yeah, this specific builder, Mecca Builders,
Yeah.
they have 5 different designs that you can choose from, and we have them attached to the MLS. But this is an opportunity for you to pick your own colors, pick your own finishes.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does it work with financing on something like this? I mean, am I going to have to pay the whole $890 or can I get financing?
Absolutely not. You can do construction perm financing. So basically, once you arrive at the price, you can go ahead and get a loan out for the full amount, but you're drawing from that as you build.
Oh, wow, beautiful. If you have any questions about this property, look, you want to design your own house from start to finish. What an excellent opportunity it is. 407-205-0400. I'll connect you immediately with Vivian Lehman, who will go show you that lot and show you exactly what kind of house you can put on it. Now let's head down to Thornton Park. What an awesome neighborhood. East Central Boulevard. Tell me about this condo, Vivian.
So this one's on 530 East Central, just off of Lake Eola. So the building faces Lake Eola. You know, that whole area is just so booming. This particular unit is $220,000. It's a 1-bedroom, 1.5. It's just under 1,000 square feet. I believe there's stainless steel appliances, and the building itself is a concierge type with a clubhouse, pool, and a fitness center.
Beautiful. This Thornton Park area really is booming. I mean,
Oh,
there's
it's
no
awesome
doubt
down there,
about it,
yeah.
huh? And does it make a difference? Like, you know, you hear 1-1. When you hear that extra half bath in that sort of 1-bedroom range, does that make a big difference for a buyer?
I think it does, and this is a good size for a 1.5, and
Yeah.
the price point too. If you look at anything else down in that area,
Right.
it's much more expensive.
407-205-0400. That would be a great investment property as well, because the rental market in that part of the world is incredibly expensive for Orlando.
Absolutely,
So, you know, if
yeah.
you're looking for an investment property or you're a young professional and want to live downtown, this property is
Yeah.
for you.
And that's the difference between renting on something like this. Sometimes investors are scared to go in on a condo
Yeah.
because of the fees, but in this case, the fees will be covered with the rent.
Absolutely, no
Yeah.
doubt about it. Thank you very much, Vivian Lehman. Rose Kemp Remax Town Center, right next to the East Central Boulevard condo we were showing. You're going to take me down to Sale Court. My understanding is this is near the Bay Hill area, right?
Yes, it is. It's in the North Bay section off of Apopka Vineland, and it is a lakefront property
Wow, that's nice.
with a dock. It's 3,300 heated square feet, and it was completely remodeled. I mean, they pretty much took this house down to the studs about 3.5 years ago. So it is move-in ready, everything to perfection, made for entertaining, made for somebody that has the boat and needs the boat lift and likes to entertain and spend time in the outdoors. It's just absolutely stunning.
What is the price point on this house?
This home is exactly $2 million.
Beautiful
And
home,
if you-
though.
yeah, it is. It's
Beautiful,
absolutely
beautiful home.
stunning.
So this Bay Hill area, I mean, is it near the golf course of Bay Hill or more like Dr. Phillips? Where is this
It's
exactly?
closer to the Dr. Phillips area, I would
Okay.
say, yeah.
What I mean, the restaurants down there are awesome too,
Oh, yeah.
right?
I mean, lifestyle.
it's
You're on the
great.
lake and you have basically restaurant row going on in that area.
Now, is this on one of those canals that if it doesn't rain, you know, basically there's no water there? Or is this really on the
No,
lake?
this is really on the lake. It's actually on the chain of lakes. And the frontage, if you have a chance to look at the pictures, the frontage is just absolutely incredible. And we do have a virtual tour and and the drone shots and whatnot. You should actually take a look at it. It's really, really cool. You know, it's like I don't even have the words to describe all of the great details and upgrades that it has.
Right.
But the bottom line is it is prime location. It is primo lot.
Now let's head down just a little south of there to our favorite master planned community of Celebration, Florida. One of the happiest places on earth, I
Absolutely.
think. White Moss Lane. Rose, tell me about this one.
Yes, it's White Moss Lane. That says it all. It's so beautiful. So this is a property that is a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. It's a 2-story home. It is $449,000. It is 1684 heated square feet, and it is just charming and perfect, and it just depicts what Celebration is all about. And really, this is kind of a great price point also to get into Celebration for a single-family home.
And what is the price point here?
$449,000.
I mean, that's pretty good for Celebration, right?
Yes, and it is a single-family home with a beautiful view. Actually, across the street, you have a conservation area. This is actually a corner lot and meticulously kept. New roof, new AC. I mean, they've just completely redone this. So this was built in 2001, but they've actually upgraded all of the main components of the property.
Beautiful home. If you have any questions about this house, would like to go see it, I'll hook you up with Rose Kemp right away. 407-205-0400. Rose, you're going to stick around for the real estate roundtable, I hope, right?
Yes.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is time for the real estate roundtable. But before we go there, I want to have a quick word about our favorite sponsor. Look, a lot of us out there are tired of paying $500 a month for electricity. You know, why do we keep doing that? Our good friends over at IQ Power Solar have a solution that can make your electricity bill virtually zero. And now it's time for a quick word from our friends at IQ Power Solar. And now it's time for the Real Estate Roundtable. Vivian Lehman is here with You Have Realty. David at Kissimmee asks, my credit is bad. Why won't any agents go with me to show me properties? What do you think, Vivian?
I believe he might be wasting his time because he can't buy a home without having good credit.
Yeah.
At the same time, he should speak to somebody about his credit and start to work on it.
I agree. Sean in Winter Springs asks, my agent wants me to put a lockbox on my home for sale. Is this safe?
It is. We actually, at the board, at the Orlando Regional, we have secure lock boxes. They're called Supra electronic lock boxes. So when we utilize this type of box, the key is inside of it, and you must be a realtor with the board in order to access the property. Also, the agents that are going to show your property are supposed to contact the realtor that has it listed and then get permission, basically, and authorization and confirm the showing. So once the realtor accesses the property, your listing agent will actually get a text message that says who's in there, what's their name, and then it lets you know when they're leaving as well when they put the key back in.
Rose Kemp, Vivian Lehman, thank you so much for joining me today. You're welcome back anytime. But most importantly, thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions about anything we spoke about today, the phone number, 407-205-0400. I have Dallas Lehman standing by right now to get you pre-approved to start that house hunt. I'm attorney Justin Clark. I'll see you right back here next week for another edition of You Have Real Estate. Good job, guys. It went by fast, right?